The story you are about to listen to is a historical fiction tale based on true events that happened to my family during World War II. Although the story continued on, the focus for today is of one particular event in history, the Bataan Death March, and my great grandfather, who was a survivor. We begin the story in 1941 in the Luzon island of the Philippines. Alarms wailed throughout the town, marking the footsteps of Japanese soldiers as they prowled the streets lit by an effervescent sky illuminated by planes catching fire above head. There, in the shadows, families hid in their makeshift shelters in fear that they would be the next to be dragged from their homes for their rebellion against the Japanese intruders. My grandfather, Gregorio Sr., and his sister Lilia were outside playing when the alarm sounded. They rushed home to their mother, Perpetua, as their older brother, Nomer, stayed watch outside. Hidden in the trees, he watched the dogfights up above and prayed that the resistance would one day be victorious in battle. Despite the youthfulness of his age, Nomer, like several others in his class, had become the man of the household far too early in an event that would forever alter the course of my family and many others. Gregorio Jr. was around 8 years old when he heard someone knocking on the door. His mother answered it, and two Filipino scouts entered their home. "Is your husband here?" they inquired. "Yes," she replied. "He is just getting home." Before they could assess what was happening, the men were already taking off their shoes and found Gregorio Sr. as he was putting on his shirt. Gregorio Sr. spoke alone with the men, and soon after he said goodbye to his wife and son without offering any further explanation. As weeks, possibly even months, passed by without word from Gregorio Sr., the Japanese occupation grew stronger. Every day, the soldiers looked in all areas for Filipino and American men who were fighting against them. When the soldiers were spotted doing their rounds, a runner, typically a Filipino boy, would send the alert that the Japanese were coming. At the sound of the runner's alarm, households would lock their doors and remain hidden, hoping above all odds that they would not be the next to have a bag thrown over their heads and hear the damning words, "Sundan ninyo ang mga utos namin." Pick the people who are helping you, or we will kill your family. Gregorio Sr.'s absence did not go unnoticed by the Japanese soldiers. The officer that was assigned to do check-ins with my family was a well-educated man with a sharp-looking uniform and shiny boots. He was always respectful to the family. He would take off his shoes, speak with Perpetua in Japanese, and accepted the food that was cooked for him. The bond had developed so deeply between this Japanese soldier and my family that when Gregorio Sr. did come home, adorned in the uniform of a Filipino sandalo, the officer chose to ignore the fact that there was obviously a man hiding in the attic. Gregorio Sr. returned to the World War II battlefront and was met with an intense up-close battle as he watched his comrades, short on weaponry, being shot at point-blank range. From under his shirt, Gregorio Sr. pulled the cross that his son Greg had given him and placed it between his teeth. He clenched his jaw around it in a symbolic reminder of the sacrifice he had chosen for the hope of a better future for his family and his country as he awaited his turn to be joined with his God. But the blow never came. On April 9th, 1942, the U.S. surrendered the Bataan Peninsula to the Japanese. Approximately 75,000 Filipino and American troops on Bataan were forced to make a harrowing 65-mile march to prison camps. The few who remained by Gregorio Sr.'s side were captured and forced to make this trek in what later became known as the Bataan Death March. The march took place in intense heat, and the prisoners of war were subjected to harsh treatments by the Japanese guards. Because of these conditions, thousands perished on their way to the prisons. Gregorio Sr. was beaten, and he had been a first-hand witness to the deaths of his fellow soldiers. Being the person that he was, he made a decision on that day that he would rather die of a bullet than perish as a prisoner of war. When the opportunity came, he jumped off the road and into the high grass. Bullets chased him, but they missed. He managed to hide and was presumed dead as he slowly navigated the land towards the nearest village. In desperate need of nourishment and rest, Gregorio Sr. met a young boy from a wealthy family named Polito. Polito, in his generosity, told Gregorio Sr. that he could come with him and that he would help keep him hidden. Gregorio Sr. followed him to a large 2-story house where Polito hid him under the first step in a staircase. By Polito and his family's generosity, Gregorio Sr. was able to recover and rejoin his family while keeping his status as a guerrilla fighter in the Filipino and American forces.